Welcome to the Driveway Beers podcast with Mike and Alex. Thank you for joining us, and we hope you enjoy the show. Please like, subscribe, comment, and share on any platform that you're listening on. All right, welcome back to another show. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for liking and sharing. You know, the funny part is, right when we started this thing, right before we started the recording, I said, hey, I got to stop touching the mic, and what I do right off the bat,
immediately,
I touched it.
It's inviting.
Yeah, so I'm going to try and keep my hands down so that way we don't hear the ting 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 of me playing with the microphone. Normal shout out for private internet access. Go on drivewaybeers.com. On the right hand side, it's a link for private internet access. If you're on the mobile site, it's all the way at the bottom. Or you could just go to privateinternetaccess.com/drivewaybeers. And that'll get you our discount. Right now, I believe it's close to 77% off. It's 2 years at about $55 for 2 years, so you get it for about $2.11 per month. And that gets you one of the best VPNs in the nation. Fully encrypted connection. Make sure you're protecting your credit card data or your debit card data for that matter if you're using your debit card online to buy things. Holiday season is coming up. We're going to be doing a lot of online shopping. So please protect your financial data online. With private internet access, again, $55, I believe, for 2 years. You put on all your devices, laptops, phones, tablets, and that gets you a secure connection that uses encryption, which, you know, from a hacker standpoint, if they see an encrypted connection, obviously, if they have the ability to hack through it, they're probably not, because they're going to go for the unencrypted stuff, which is the lower hanging fruit. So make yourself the harder target. Get yourself a VPN. All right. So recently, I believe today is the 15th of September. Lindsay Graham from the Senate, from South Carolina, has proposed a law to codify abortion regulation. The new law would state that abortion is legal up to 15 weeks. And that includes rape and incest, and it's not voluntary. You can decide to get it for any reason.
Okay.
I don't know what word, but anyway. All right. So, and my question here is, and we've already stated we are both pro-choice. But obviously with the recent overturn of Roe v. Wade, a lot of the decision-making went back to the states. And a lot of states had trigger laws. Now, trigger laws essentially said, if Roe v. Wade ever got overturned, this new law would automatically go into effect, which in some states was a complete ban on abortion. Other states, I believe it was 6 weeks. Some states it was 5 weeks. I think some went to 10, which isn't very long. Now, 15 weeks, and a lot of people are going to say, you know, women should have full autonomy of their bodies. And I'm not here to debate that at all. I don't want to get into that. This is going to be more of a pure political discussion on whether the Democrats should take this deal or not. And the reason why I bring that up is because these trigger laws got put into place, and other laws have now also been put in place since Roe v. Wade got overturned. And you do have a conservative court for the most part when it comes to religious matters. And some would say pro-life is a religious matter. With it unlikely to get some of these state laws overturned at the Supreme Court level, if you have a Republican senator willing to put out a 15-week abortion allowance timeline. Now, people are calling it a 15-week ban. You can look at it either way.
Yeah.
You'd be allowed to get an abortion within 15 weeks, but after 15 weeks you can't. So you can either say it's a ban or it's an allowance, depending on where you are.
Then, it's a glass half empty or half full.
Right. So, do you take the deal as a Democrat? Because midterms are coming up, and there's a very good possibility that the Democrats lose the House. If the Democrats lose the House, nothing like this will get passed. So you've got a Republican in the Senate willing to put this forward. It will pass the Senate if it gets put up there. And then it becomes a political game in the House, whether you take the 15 weeks or you placate the strongest part of your pro-life base who want full-blown abortion all the way through conception, or all the way through birth.
Through birth or to birth?
To birth, sorry. Well, I guess at that point,
at some point it has to, I don't care what side of the issue you fall on, at some point it has to become murder.
Right.
Like, I mean, I don't know, some people say when it's viable, this, that, but I think we could all agree, well, I'm not going to say that anymore because there are probably people that say, oh, no, that's fine. The umbilical cord's still attached. But yeah, to me, it's, at some point, it's going to become murder. So
yeah, I mean, I think after the baby's out,
yeah,
at that point, it's not an abortion anymore.
The common law definition is when the first breath is drawn.
Sure.
So the second the first breath is drawn, then boom. So
I get the part I wanted to talk about with, and probably you and I aren't the two people to talk about this.
No.
And we probably, I wish we could have brought in more of a hardline progressive, maybe.
Yeah.
But the funny part is, even like a Jimmy Dore and even a Bill Maher kind of say, well, wait a minute. Yes, we want to demonize it, right? They're going to demonize it. That's what they're going to do. Because they got to placate that base. But at the end of the day, if it comes up for a vote, is it the smart move to accept it? Because are you really going to get any better?
Yeah.
Especially at the midterms. And then you got to hope in 2024 that your guy wins again, if you're the Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, it's never going to get through a Republican president.
Right. Because and the way the primary system's set up, in order to be the Republican nominee, you have to be pro-life. I don't think we're ever going to see a Republican president who is pro-choice. It's not going to get past that base. So something like this, especially when you consider the position that the Democrats probably find there, and there's some polls that say that the Democrats are going to hold on. It's not going to be the red wave that that people think is coming. But I think as long as we're at 8.5% inflation and some of these other boondoggle, and then I thought it was funny because like the other day, the president is in Detroit, like getting in luxury cars and a $100,000 Corvette, and meanwhile, like you've got regular Joe American that is thinking like, I don't know if I can put gas in the car that I have, and this is just, again, it shows how out of touch they are, and let's buy electric cars, but California is telling you not to charge your electric car. So if you can survive all that, but they've got their hitmen in the media that are helping them. So
yeah.
I don't know. I think to me the safe bet is to jump on this thing.
And by comparison, I know a lot of people want to say, the rest of the world. So I went online and I went to which website was it? It was Center for Reproductive Rights. It's a liberal organization. It's a very pro-choice organization. Mm-hmm. So I went there for the stats. I wanted to find out what the limits were in Europe. I was very surprised. The on request where the gestational limits varied. So that's where. So I went on Center for Reproductive Rights. They've got a map there, and you click on request. So that basically means anyone who wants one can get one up to a certain period of time.
Mm-hmm.
And I just clicked through the European countries. Now, I was shocked. Most of them are 12 weeks. Some of them are 90 days.
Yeah.
The two most liberal are Germany at 14 weeks, which is less than what Graham is proposing. France is 16 weeks. And that's the most liberal one there is. For example, like Norway, 12 weeks. Sweden, Sweden's 18 weeks. That's actually more liberal, but that's only 2 so far. Let me do. If I go down to Spain, 14 weeks. Portugal, 10 weeks.
What's Poland?
Poland, ban.
Okay.
Complete ban. Well, actually, I'm sorry. It's permitted in cases of rape, permitted in cases of incest, and you also need parental authorization. It's one of the most strict.
Well, Poland's very Catholic.
Well, there's a whole other story behind Poland. There's an organization, and I wish I could remember the documentary I watched, but basically it's this organization. It's a pro-life organization. Mm-hmm. And they lobby Congress to be pro-life. But they also lobby other countries in the world to also be pro-life. And for whatever reason, they really got a hold into Poland. But let's check out. So Italy, 90 days.
Okay.
Italy's 90 days. Greece, 12 weeks. So, I mean, basically, I can go through all of Europe if I wanted to. But essentially what I'm trying to show is that this 15 weeks would be the more liberal than all but 2 European countries.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ireland's 12 weeks. I mean, I think Canada might be 18 weeks. Or actually, Canada might not have any limits. But so I guess my point is, it's not like you're taking a bad deal, considering that other countries in the world have some sort of limits, with the exception of a few. Don't get me wrong, there's some other liberal ones.
Right.
But everyone points to Europe as being the bastion of liberalism.
Well, they love to point to Scandinavian socialism.
Yeah.
European socialism. Look how well this it works. But there's a couple things going on. Is that some of these countries really aren't socialist. And then the other thing they don't really take into account is the ridiculous taxes that some of these people pay to live there, and then just the difference in population between all of the these countries. So the difference between us and Sweden, it's just size alone. So
yeah, and I guess from a deal making perspective, and I know people are like, this is a woman's body. You can't make a deal about this. I was like, well, right now your situation, you're not coming from a situation of power as far as a business deal is concerned.
Yeah.
And that's what this is at this point. Because you don't have a Supreme Court majority. Not when it comes to these issues. Although, I mean, Chief Justice Roberts, he's kind of swayed both ways on a lot of topics. But you've got the other 5 there that are pretty hardcore in this camp. Mm-hmm. And one of the things that they'd have a hard time overturning is a federal codified rule, because in their opinion, when they overturned Roe, it basically said it needs to be regulated by the hands of the people. Mm-hmm. Basically meaning that they were basically saying Congress needs to do their job and regulate this. And until they do, it's going back to the states.
Yeah. And the thing is, people think that, Roe v. Wade was overturned, not because it was abortion, but it was overturned because they determined it was it was bad case law.
Right.
And I think it was was it Ruth Bader Ginsburg that said it was bad case law? Well, she agreed with it, but said it was bad case law.
Well, they all agree. It was never a decision the Supreme Court should have had to have made.
Yeah.
But they did. And that's why the wording of it, I think if you took this deal for 15 weeks, I don't think you'd see the Supreme Court overrule it. Mm-hmm. Because the lawyer that goes in there to argue, let's say someone challenges it and it goes to the Supreme Court, the lawyer that's going there to defend the 15 weeks would probably be a Democrat. Mm-hmm. And he could say, look, according to your opinion, based on settled law or settled case law, you said that this should be regulated by the people. Well, the House, which is the people's representatives, and the Senate were the ones that put this law in place. They did exactly what you said they should do.
Yeah.
It would be really hard, even for someone like Justice Alito, who wrote the opinion, to overturn that. because they did exactly what he said they should do.
Right.
Because by the people doesn't necessarily mean the states should determine this.
Mm-hmm.
It could also be interpreted to say that the House should create laws because they're voted in as a representative of the people.
Yeah.
And any good lawyer could put that in there. And it would be really hard if the Supreme Court overturned that after they wrote the opinion they did to overturn Roe v. Wade.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So let's think of this from a liberal point of view, though. And I think this is where some of these politicians and political parties just kick themselves in the rear because they just can't take a win.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't proposed by them.
Yeah.
And like I said, Lindsay Graham, hardcore Republican. Now, some people call him a rhino, whatever it is. He's your 51st vote if you get all the Democrats on board with this.
Yeah.
You're past the Senate. You have the majority in the House. And if you pass this, you have one of the more liberal policies in the world.
Yeah.
For abortion. And your alternative to say no is because you want the full foot-long sandwich rather than the 6-inch and not go starving.
Right.
You know, from a common sense perspective, you got to be thinking the Democrat Party. One of the reasons why they wouldn't take it is because they want their base angry and to go vote in the midterms to stem any tide that comes through.
Right.
You need people to go to the polls.
Yeah.
You need them to be angry.
It keeps their base fired up.
Yep. But if it's really your main issue, if this is one of your talking point issues, you may never get a better deal than this for another 6 to 8 years.
Yeah.
Until another blue wave comes. When everyone's pissed off at Republicans. And it will happen.
Oh.
Of course it will. It's just like, if they were doing their job for their constituents, you take the W. You didn't come up with it. You can still campaign on it.
Yeah.
Say, look what we did. Roe v. Wade got overturned. 25 states had a complete ban on abortion or whatever it is. I don't know what the number is. But we stopped that.
Yep.
You don't got to tell them Lindsey Graham put that up. Everyone's going to forget that anyway.
Yeah. Have some Democrat go in with him on it.
Yeah.
And then you can take it. Then you can take the win.
And then you take the win and say, and we did it on a bipartisan basis. We worked with the
middle.
other side.
The middle loves bipartisan stuff.
Oh, you would get back a lot of voters in midterms if you did that. You really would.
Yeah.
And this is why I don't understand how some of these political strategists get paid a lot of money, and none of them think of this shit.
No. And we're two schlubs in a basement that have...
Yeah, I mean, I'll take some campaign money.
Yeah.
I'll be a consultant.
Everyone's doing it.
Right, everyone else is doing it. The only difference is I might get you to win. Rather than, 15 Democrats not run, or was it 10 Republicans didn't run because they were going to get voted out, and another 15 or 20 Democrats?
Yeah.
Hey, maybe you wouldn't have to retire if you hired me.
Yeah, you stay on the easy, the public dime.
Driveway Beers consultant. Coming soon to a theater near you. Yeah, you're going to give up that sweet Congress gig over something that everyone's going to forget about tomorrow, which is who presented it.
Yeah. But I mean, when you think about the bill itself, the 15 weeks, that's that's reasonable. That's
the problem.
Yeah. But I mean, why do we? So I've always been the type that I thought, we've been through our position on it before. But like, why is everything this zero-sum game?
Right.
It's 15. You have the hardcore left. No, we want abortion until birth, and then the hardcore right, no abortions. It's like The Simpsons with the aliens, and they're like, they come out and they're like, abortions for everyone, and boo, abortions for no one, boo. Abortions for some, little American flags for others. Yay!
Right.
But it gets to the point where now the hardcore right and the hardcore left, they're all wackos.
Right.
But there have to be some that are pretty far left that are still reasonable people, I'd like to think. And the same on the right. You know what? Thinking like I personally find abortion to be abhorrent. However, I still maintain my pro-choice stance for other reasons. But okay, 15 weeks, that seems like a reason. It's better than nothing.
Right. Well, it's also, it's better than 12 weeks that was proposed before.
Yeah.
Yeah, look, I got 2 girls. And not that I'm in favor of them getting abortions at one point in time, but if things happened or whatever,
Yeah.
I don't know. I would like the option to discuss it.
Yeah.
Rather than just being flat out banned.
Yeah.
Luckily we live in a state where that'll probably always be an option.
Well, I think if they had their way here, it would be abortion to stillbirth.
Maybe.
So,
but like I've always said, in my personal life, I would probably be more of a pro-choice, pro-life person.
mm-hmm.
But for numerous reasons, I'm pro-choice. Just don't think I got any business in other people's business.
Yeah.
That's more of that libertarian take. But it's also like I never understood that about the Republican Party. We want the government out of your business except for in the bedroom, who you can marry, and what you can do with birth.
Yeah.
Right. For that, we want to be all up in your business.
All up in your yeah.
That part never made sense to me.
What's the libertarian, the old joke, keeping Republicans out of your bedroom and Democrats out of your wallet?
Right. Yeah. And it's true. That's true. It's kind of like we've talked about why the government can't get health care done.
Mm-hmm.
Democrats just want to be in your wallet, taking as much money as they can from you to go to their buddies.
Yeah.
If you really wanted to do health care correctly, it could be done. We did that whole episode on GoodRx.
Yeah.
Which lowers prescription drug prices for everybody. There's no buy-in.
Right.
They're just, it's what, I don't know how they did, whatever they negotiated with it's this for-profit company that basically lowered drug prices for the average. I don't care if they get paid. As long as the drug price is cheaper for me, who cares? Why couldn't the government have done that?
Right.
Because their buddies weren't going to get the kickbacks from it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like we've talked about that, like with politics, so many different times. It's just like I feel like they're just not doing the little things for people. Like they're not dropping the breadcrumbs. Like some of this is supposed to trickle down.
Yeah.
Like some of this policy needs to trickle down. Do something for the people once in a while.
Right.
Stop just fattening your pockets.
Yeah, well, their only concern is enriching themselves and staying in office, so they can continue to enrich themselves.
Well, and of course they just backtrack when they get caught, and they know the news cycle is so short.
Oh yeah.
For example, like when Harvard took the PPP loan.
Yeah.
Even though they've got the largest endowment of any university, and they didn't need a PPP loan, and it's just like, and of course when they got found out, they returned the money.
Mm-hmm.
They only returned it because they got found out.
Yeah.
Not many other of these universities took it and kept it because it didn't get called to the carpet.
It's probably sitting in some account somewhere, collecting interest.
And don't get it twisted. The heads of these universities are in the boys' club.
Oh yeah,
they're in that club.
Yeah,
like it's not just big pharma. Big universities in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And you got big pharma, big food, big agri.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these industries that people wouldn't think that are sucking at the government teat, and which is basically from the people.
Yeah,
because they're using your tax dollars to do it. Like the military industrial complex is taking money through the military. Like they're doing it through these organizations.
Right.
Major landlords are getting money through HUD, through Section 8. Everyone's like, oh, Section 8. Oh, Section 8 as a landlord is a godsend.
Mm-hmm.
Because you get paid every month.
Oh, yeah.
And there's no hassle, there's no haggles, there's no hassling. Every month on the 1st, you get paid directly from the government.
Yeah.
Now, you might get a little subsidy from the renter. You might get a little subsidy depending on their income. Mm-hmm. But like my uncle used to own real estate in D.C. He loved Section 8 renters because he never had to worry about being paid.
Yeah.
And now that like companies like BlackRock and Vanguard, they're in the real estate game big time. They're not just a huge hedge fund. They're not just hedge funds anymore.
Yeah.
They bought up a ton of real estate after 2007. When that market collapsed, they were the ones that jumped on it when all the foreclosures happened. And they turned all those houses into rentals. And they still do now. Now, they're not all Section 8, but they're getting their federal assistance.
Yeah.
Think about it. One of the wealthiest companies in this country, in the world, that no one's ever heard of, getting government money, getting government assistance.
Yeah.
A lot of these businesses out there, people don't realize that there are certain universities, big tech, big pharma. I mean, shoot, you just had Mark Zuckerberg admit that the FBI told them to censor things.
Yeah.
Before the 2020 election. Mm-hmm. I mean, and nobody cares.
Yeah,
that's what it's like when Edward Snowden came out and said the government's spying at you at will and they don't need your permission. They can access the camera on your laptop, on your phone, they can access the microphone, and they don't need your permission to turn it on because of the Patriot Act. Mm-hmm. That guy is now still in Russia in some protective program so he doesn't get killed.
Yeah.
And brought back to America where he would most definitely die. Mm-hmm.
They'd get Epstein.
They would Epstein him in a minute. I don't even know if he'd make it through the flight.
Yeah. Oh, the cameras were broken.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Just happened to be broken.
He had a heart attack on the way here? Oh, my God. It's amazing.
Shot himself twice in the back of the head.
Right. Or it's like, all these Russian oligarchs are dropping dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, Putin didn't do that. No. He's a good guy.
Good dude.
Yeah. He's not a killer.
Bro, it's a good car.
You died of heart attack? Oh, my gosh. It's so sad. I
send you my flowers.
Flowers, I pray for you. But everyone's like, oh, that's all conspiracy theory stuff. Man, it's not that big of a conspiracy to think that one of the largest transfers of wealth happened during COVID.
Yeah.
And it went from, well, there were two transfers of wealth. Actually, I'll say three. The lead up to 2007, before the housing market crashed, the mortgage companies, big mortgage companies, were making money hand over fist. And those are the banks. I mean, you're talking like Wells Fargo, State Street, J.P. Morgan, all those. And they were doing it all through Fannie and Freddie Mac. Now, Fannie and Freddie Mac guarantees loans. So basically, these guys were giving out 6-7% loans guaranteed by the government.
Yeah.
So regardless, there was no downside for them. Market crashes, right? They get money from the government. Even the banks that didn't need it. Because they said if they gave it to one, and not all of them, it would cause a run on that bank.
Right. So
they had to give money to all of them to make it seem like they were all okay. Mm-hmm. So there was the transfer of wealth going from the big wigs to the people, because people were getting their wealth on in 2007 to 2007. Market crashes, people have to foreclose out of their houses. Houses are one of the biggest generators of wealth for Americans. Mm-hmm. Companies like BlackRock, Vanguard, they buy up all these foreclosures. They start renting them back. So the money flows back up to that 0.5%.
Yeah.
Universities were buying up real estate, developing it. Like this was their way to get it cheap. Mm-hmm.
I know where I went to college. I graduated I left there in 2004. And the school was pretty much the same size as it was when I started. But then 2007, 2008, now they had bought some old industrial properties that were around it. But they started buying up all these houses so essentially it was two campuses. You had like an East Campus and a West Campus. Mm-hmm. Well, they bought everything in the middle and made it continuous. And it was that same time frame.
Yep. My college did the same thing. It was all of a sudden you had 3 new dorms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
And you just happened to be able to purchase the farm next door as it was going under.
Yeah.
And it was okay, of course, because it was my college, right? It's awesome. Great. Got to make it bigger. Go college. But then you had COVID.
Mm-hmm.
People were getting out of work, but we'll give them money. We'll give them money from the government. We'll give them money not to work, right? This is great. We'll shut down the country for a little while so people don't have to go into work because we don't want to spread that nasty COVID.
Yeah.
Don't want to spread it. Keep the kids home. Of course, you keep the kids home. Now school's online. Of course, now you got to put money into Intel because you need all those Chromebooks.
Oh, yeah.
And how many schools went with Google Classroom and had to pay for it?
Mm-hmm.
So money had to go to Google. And then how many iPhones and iPads got purchased?
Yep.
Everyone said it was the supply chain was causing the low inventory, or it was just a really, really large increase in demand.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're used to selling 3,000 iPads a month, and you have on stock 4,000, but because everyone's home, and they're getting money from the federal government, and now people want 5,000 a month. Well, yeah, there's going to be a shortage in supply, but only because you juice demand.
Yeah.
And so you had big tech making money. Amazon, Walmart. Amazon, Walmart could stay open. But mom and pop shop
right
down the road? No.
Yeah.
You have more than 3 people in the store. Actually, you can't have any.
Yeah.
Walmart can have 100, though.
No, Walmart's fine.
Actually, Walmart can go. There's no capacity limit in Walmart.
Yeah.
Whatever the building capacity is, that's fine. Whatever the normal.
Home Depot. Go ahead.
Not at all. Yeah, no limits there either.
Right.
But the mom and pop hardware store, you got to shut down. And we're going to pay your employees not to come to work. So if you want to open, you can't open. Because you don't have anyone to work. And, of course, so now the money went from mom and pop shops to big industry.
Mm-hmm.
Directly from the government. Because now the government's paying those employees not to work. And those people are paying for cars. They're paying for groceries.
Yeah.
By the way, Amazon got in the grocery game. Hey, that was convenient. Walmart got in the grocery game too?
Yeah.
You know Walmart's the biggest grocer in the country?
I did not know that.
They are.
Wow.
Yeah, amazing. So the Waltons got a nice chunk of change too.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of these companies, if you track where the money went, you wouldn't be shocked. Or maybe you would. But it wasn't to the mom and pop shops.
Oh, no.
You're telling me, with the invent of DoorDash, Instacart, you're telling me that mom and pop shops wouldn't have made money hand over fist like Walmart and Home Depot did? You get out of here. DoorDash and Uber Eats and all these other, and I forgot what the one is. It's not Instacart. I can't remember the one, but they'll basically go get anything.
Okay.
They'll go to any store and pick it up. So it doesn't have to be food. And to be honest with you, DoorDash and Uber Eats stopped doing just food a while ago. And in fact, when you order food from one of those, it pops up, hey, for no additional fee, you can add on to your order. And there's Ace Hardware on there. I can get some drywall screws. That's amazing.
I'm getting Subway and drywall screws.
Right. I'm going to get Subway and Home Depot. They're going to deliver me a vanity. This 300-pound vanity going to fit in someone's Civic.
Well, then the worst part about the DoorDash, so DoorDash and Uber Eats, so restaurants operate on extremely thin margins. So when they would sign up for, essentially they were making that food, they were just breaking even on it. Once the DoorDash fee came in, now they're making nothing. So
could you cut their alcohol sales?
Yeah.
Alcohol's where they made their money.
Oh yeah, alcohol. The markup on alcohol is enormous.
Mm-hmm.
Even soft drinks too.
Yeah.
If you think about it, like say you go to you go to Chevy's Fresh Mex and you get a Pepsi, that is free refills.
Yeah.
And it costs $2.29. You know how much Pepsi you'd have to drink to
What is it? It's like a nickel for a 12 ounce or 24 ounce cup. It's like a nickel, or even if it's 10 cents. So you pay 20 cents, but you're paying $2.20.
Yeah, you'd have to drink 10 of them.
Yeah.
To even get close, and they're still making 30 cents on it.
Right.
So no one's. And I like to drink. That's the time I drink sodas when I go out to eat, and I like to drink soda. But I'm not getting 10 refills.
No.
I mean, that's gluttonous at that point.
Right.
So I might get 3 or 4. So they're still making $2 on it.
Right, at least. And they're making that on less than $1. You're talking about a 300% markup.
Yeah.
Nice profit margin.
Yeah.
So
yeah, it's funny because you think, when I think of, so remember when we were kids, it was Rage Against the Machine. And like,
I know where you're going.
You know what I mean? Like that's the machine I thought they were raging against.
Right.
And that was like, to me, that was what the left was. Like
right.
that was
it.
You know what I mean? Even the Occupy Wall Street and all that stuff, like that was the left. And as much as I would be like, cut your hair and get a job and go to work, hippie, that sort of thing, I still kind of was like, yeah, screw these guys. But now it's like the left is right there with them. Like, what the hell happened to raging against the machine? I mean, when you have Zach De La Rocca, who's like afraid of COVID and telling everyone to get shots and stuff, it's like, huh?
Right. Him and Tom
Killing in the name of?
Right. F you, I won't do what you told me.
Yeah. F you, do what you tell me.
Right. F you, do what you're told right now.
Yeah.
Do what the government tells you.
Like, it's crazy.
Don't question it.
I don't quite get it. Like, how did that left become what it is? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah. That's the weirdest part of all of this. Like, they, even though it wasn't true, they always talked about when the Republican and Democrat parties flipped. Mm-hmm. And it wasn't true. But right now, I feel like it's always been about image.
Yeah.
Right? Like, when the Civil Rights Act was passed, the president at the time was Lyndon Johnson, who was a Democrat. And after he signed it, but it was actually the Congress, the Republicans are the one that pushed it through and got it to Johnson's desk. It wasn't the Democrats. But Johnson signed it. It was right after JFK had been shot. And there's a famous Johnson quote that said, "I'll have them voting Democrat for 100 years."
Yeah. And he didn't say them.
No, he did not say them.
He dropped the full old N-bomb.
Yeah, I am paraphrasing.
Yes.
And so it wasn't that he was about the cause. It was all about the politics for him.
Yeah.
And the Democrats, as they went along, were always about, the messaging was, we're about the party, or we're about the workers.
Yeah.
The Republicans are these big rich snobs. And they don't even like you. They don't, and it didn't help that some of these Republicans just fell right into it.
Oh yeah.
Like Mitt Romney. It's like, wow, buddy. Or as I say, John Kerry 2.0.
Yeah.
Like just these super rich dudes come from money. Like, people don't realize that Mitt Romney, his dad was the governor of Michigan. Mm-hmm. And no one ever questioned how Mitt Romney, a Mormon from Utah, by way of Michigan.
And Massachusetts.
Well, but here's the thing. How did he end up the governor of Massachusetts? Back in the day, it was called carpetbagging.
Yeah.
When you literally moved to a state just so you could be elected.
Yeah, like when they ran Ben Jealous here against Larry Hogan.
Right. I didn't live here.
And he said he couldn't wait to be the governor of California.
Right. and like, how does that guy, they just take for granted that people aren't going to like question the fact that here's this guy from Utah whose dad was governor of a blue state.
Yeah.
ran companies into the ground, didn't give 2 cents about a worker, became a governor of a blue state. Shocker.
And
just like his dad.
Yeah, and then also just like his dad ran, was it Bain Capital?
Right. That's
just
like, just destroyed companies.
Yeah.
Just sold them off for parts.
Yeah. He was Richard Gere in Pretty Woman.
Yeah, pretty much.
Minus the prostitute.
And that's what I mean. Like, they didn't, at the time though, the parties basically took turns running those type of people.
Yeah.
I think Reagan came out of left field. And he got pushed forward by the Christian coalition.
Yeah. Well, Reagan was a Democrat for most of his life.
Yeah. But, I mean, the Christian coalition found... It's kind of like... I hate to equate it to Trump. Reagan found people that would campaign for him. Mm-hmm. Just like Trump did.
Yeah.
It didn't matter if he believed what they believed or not. He could pretend.
Yeah.
Reagan was an actor.
Yeah.
Trump, for more or less, was an actor.
Yeah.
And he did a heck of a job. And if you get a group of people to push you and the other side has a weak opponent or a real unlikable opponent, you can win.
Yeah.
And that's what happened. Jimmy Carter was an unlikable opponent because of the Iran-Contra deal. Or not, it wasn't Iran-Contra. It was the Iran hostages.
Yes, yeah, he had the hostage problem, and then he also had an economic problem.
Yeah. And so Reagan came along.
Yeah.
And he had someone pushing the narrative, and won. And then the economy got better, and he won again.
Yeah.
But today's Democrat Party, the union leadership are Democrats. Mm-hmm. But when was the last time union leadership for those big unions? I'm talking about the auto workers union. I'm talking about the teachers union.
Yeah. When
have they ever, in the last 20 years, done something right by their constituents?
Yeah,
That's because they don't represent them. They represent the Democratic Party. They represent the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
They're not representing... That's another way they get you, though.
Yeah.
Like, someone figured out from the Jimmy Hoffa days that there's this cash cow called workers. Mm-hmm. Not only are we going to tax them, we can get it with union dues, too. Yeah. To push whatever agenda we want. And no, it just so happens to be a Democrat agenda.
Yeah.
Even now. Like, I don't understand how... And I'll talk about the police union. Mm-hmm. You got all these the Democrats saying defund the police, and yet the head of the police unions aren't coming out and saying, "Well, you really shouldn't vote Democrat."
Right? Oh no, they're
like, wait a minute.
Yep.
You're literally talking about an idea that goes completely against your
constituents. Your membership.
Yes, yeah. And you're still going to tell them to vote Democrat? Mm-hmm. Like, or the auto workers unions. You're going to still tell them to vote Democrat right now?
Yeah.
While they're pushing electric vehicles that are made in non-union shops?
Right.
Like in California? Mm-hmm. Like they're literally banning internal combustion engines.
Yeah.
That are made by union shops.
Mm-hmm.
Or how come they haven't gotten those assembly lines in the southern states unionized? Because people there finally realized we're not paying into this.
Yeah.
Because they don't represent any of the auto workers.
Yeah.
They represent themselves.
Yeah, that's where so Mercedes-Benz, Toyota has a couple plants.
Hyundai, Kia.
Yeah. BMW.
Yep. All non-union.
Yeah.
And people don't seem to... They've tried to vote to unionize.
Yeah.
And it hasn't worked.
Mm-hmm.
Which is why I find it... And don't get me wrong, I'm not pro-business, though. I'm not saying Mercedes is a great company. I'm just saying the unions aren't any better.
Yeah.
Don't let anyone fool you into thinking that these large-scale unions are pro-worker.
Yeah, they're pro themselves.
They're pro lining their pockets. Yeah. Because, look, if you ever want to know how lucrative it is to be in the leadership of a union... I'm almost positive all of their annual salaries have to be posted.
Yeah.
And that's just barely scratching the surface on what they make. Mm-hmm. Because there's kickbacks on kickbacks on kickbacks on Hey, if you tell them to vote for this, we'll kick you back this.
Yeah.
And they're not voting Republican, or they're not pushing Republican candidates.
And I wonder what how much does the endorsement of the union cost? Like, the cynic in me wants to think that they're just in there. The politician shows up and they say, okay, how many zeros do you want on this check?
With the super PACs, you're dead on.
Yeah.
It's endless.
Yeah.
Name your price.
Yeah. How many zeros?
What do you want? Robert Trumka? What do you want?
Yeah.
What's that? Randy Weingarten? What do you want? I mean, the teachers union kind of got exposed quite a bit when they wrote that memo for the DOJ.
Yeah, and then so when they did that, and then they also had the when it was kind of found out that they were the ones pushed to keep schools closed.
Yeah,
and when you looked at the schools all over the rest of the world that were open back up, like no restrictions, and the kids were fine.
How about just in this country?
Yeah,
the kids are fine.
Yeah. So and I like unions to protect the workers. That's what they're there for. But at some point they stop. But I don't think it's your your local, such and such county teachers association. It's NEA.
Right.
Like UAW. Now they probably have shops at each plant, and a shop steward and all that stuff.
Yeah, it's not the stewards making the money.
Yeah.
But it's like
they make no money.
It's the head. I think the head of the local does make money though.
Yeah, that becomes their only job.
Right,
is to run the union.
Right, and of course, there's promotion potential if you toe the union company line. If you toe it, you can get bumped up into the upper ranges, and that's where more money is.
Right. There's also like some of these NEA, FOP, IAFF. Like on the national stage, like those people are elected by, at these national conferences. So they're little politicians themselves.
Yeah, and it's funny though, because when Republicans push, one of the pushes they make is that even in union shops, that you don't have to be a member of the union. You don't have to pay dues to the union.
Yeah.
Because there are some places where if you get the job, you automatically have to pay dues to the union. And that's where they kind of like the union started to be like, wait a minute, we can force these people to pay money to us?
Yeah.
It's basically, we could force this additional tax on their paycheck.
Yeah.
And we could just shuffle it up. We can move this money up. And then we get this political clout. But then they became part of the political machine.
Yeah.
And they're like, wait a minute. We can use this money from these people that have to pay it to us to fund the politics we want. And it's like, well, wait a minute. What if those politics they're not worker based anymore? It's not about good working conditions.
Right.
Now it's about abortion. Right? Like,
what's the UAW care about abortion?
Exactly. What do they care about abortion?
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with the workplace. Now, could it have to do with health benefits for some of the women in there? Sure, maybe you could maybe pass it off on that. But it's not for that. That's not why you're doing it. Let's be honest, right? Yeah. You're doing it because that's where the money is for you. That's where the pro-choice groups, they're paying you now and so you're basically getting money from both ends. I get it from the union paying dues members, and I get it from this political action committee.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to go out there and say, vote for this Democrat.
Yeah. Under the guise of he has for the workers.
Yeah, it's for the workers. Even though they haven't done jack for the workers. They haven't done anything to increase wages at the level that profits have raised.
Right.
Right? Like, where's that? Like, okay. And again, people wouldn't have a problem with this if you drop the breadcrumbs.
Yeah.
Like, I've used this analogy a few times. The mafia's downfall was when they stopped taking care of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And people started ratting them out. Well, the government is starting to be what the mafia... They're literally doing the same playbook, where they stop dropping the breadcrumbs, they stop taking care of the neighborhood. And I'm not saying you got to drop big breadcrumbs, But you got to do something for people once in a while.
Well, at least so wages have remained stagnant since the 70s. So essentially, wage increases have just been eaten up by inflation and taxes since then. So,
well, when it did go up, they took a sledgehammer to that.
Yeah.
With COVID.
Yeah.
Not saying COVID, that's what COVID was. I got it. It's a disease. It's a virus. It sucks. And I'm not saying it was put out on purpose, but people definitely used it to their advantage once it was out there.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm not one of those conspiracy theorists that say it was put out there and all. I mean, look, I don't care where it came. It was there. It's something happened. It came out.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say, though, that there were opportunists that took advantage of that situation.
Oh, sure.
Take that for what you want.
Yeah. Well, it's like, a football game. Do you want to kick into the wind or do you want to kick with a tailwind?
Right.
And when do you want to have that tailwind?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want the tailwind in the third quarter or do you want the tailwind in the fourth quarter?
Right.
So, yeah, you didn't create the wind, but you set yourself up to take advantage of it. So, there are plenty of people that took full advantage of that situation.
Yeah. Going back to the original topic, we've obviously strayed into regular politics, right?
That's normal for us.
Right. I mean, it's still related. I mean, it basically, we're talking about why these people won't take a W.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some people are going to say, well, it's not a W. It depends. If you got some perspective worldwide on where the bans begin and end, this is a W.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry. Like, it's almost like like Lamar Jackson's trying to get above, the Deshaun Watson money. You're trying to get that, what was it? Who was 18 weeks? I forgot.
Sweden.
Or you're trying to get that Canadian unlimited.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, there's only like 3 or 4 countries that have the raising of the ban past 15 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
You could literally be the 4th most liberal country in the world with this.
Yeah.
And you're not going to take that W, especially in this case, where you've got some states right now that have a full ban.
Yeah.
Like, take your W.
And the thing is, even if... See, I just don't think that... Again, I'm not a zero-sum person. I can see nuance and I can see where... if you have a full ban, should an 11-year-old girl have a baby?
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And the answer to that is overwhelmingly no. So I get to the point where should the government have any say in it?
Right.
And to me, the government can't do anything right. So, but that's the way the winds blow. So, hey, take the 15 weeks. It lifts the ban in all these states that got rid of it that would force that 11-year-old girl to have a baby and keep, say, okay, that's better than nothing.
Right.
But people are very bad. This generation, the boomers are pretty much bad at everything, but sorry. But, it's like no one plays the long game.
So Republicans do seem to play the long game.
But if you take this 15-week ban, this 15-week limit,
mm-hmm.
Then okay, you've made that safe. Maybe later on you could grow it if you need to have abortion through 18 or whatever, 18 years, whatever it is. But
think about this though. If you pass it now, and the House goes back to Republican, and let's say the Senate stays 50-50.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have enough votes in the Senate to repeal it. And even if you did, you don't have a veto-proof majority.
Yeah.
So it's going to stay in place for at least another 2 years.
Yeah.
In which case, you just get through the red wave until the next presidential election.
Mm-hmm.
In which you can either narrow the gap back to where there's a narrow GOP majority in the House, or you even get a slight Democratic advantage in the House, and the Senate swings by 1 or 2 seats, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think those seats in Georgia are going to be very safe.
Mm-hmm.
You got 2 Democrats in Georgia right now.
Yeah.
One of them is probably not going to be there, at least, if not both, right? So this might be your best chance to get anything.
Yeah.
Otherwise, if you don't do it now, you're unless you can win in court against, and right now they're not batting very well in the courts against some of these bans.
Yeah, they're
Take the win,
yep.
and at least you're opening the door for the women that you're supposedly fighting for. At least in those states where there's a full ban or even 6 weeks or whatever, at least now you got them 15 weeks. It's more than they had.
Yeah.
In fact, it's probably more than they had in some of the liberal states.
Mm-hmm.
It's a decent precedent to set.
Yeah.
You can fight for the rest later.
See,
you can still rally on it.
I don't see, but here's this is where the Senate comes in. They don't want to win.
No, I know.
They want the issue to stay there because it rallies their base.
Yeah.
And there's probably say some weird Midwestern state, a square state, goes and has some complete ban. Even saying the word abortion is, and you're going to hell. That makes blue voters turn out in New York,
Right.
and Maryland and Ohio. Because look, the Republicans are trying to ban it out there. If we like to, so they probably don't want it because they know it rallies their base. It fires their base up. Imagine. I think you'd see the same if you came and said, "Hey, look, if the Democrats came out and said we want to pass a national concealed carry bill where everyone can carry a gun, but it's limited to a magazine capacity of 10 rounds." I bet you the Republicans wouldn't take that.
Yeah, they won't take
because
that.
that's the issue that rallies their base. Even though you're thinking like, wow, you mean average Joe citizen could just carry his gun wherever but it has to have you're limited to 10 rounds. They would fight that. And I think it's the same thing because when they pass some wacko gun control legislation in California, it gets Republicans out to the polls everywhere else.
Right. Yeah. And that's just unfortunate. Like you got compromise sitting right in front of you. And in my opinion, I actually think it hurts Republicans more than it hurts Democrats to pass this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Lindsey Graham would probably get voted out, but he's also close to 90, maybe.
Yeah.
85, whatever. He's been there forever.
Yeah.
He probably doesn't care. He made his money.
Mm-hmm.
And he's gonna continue to make his money when he leaves.
Yeah.
He'll go do some lobbying stuff. He'll go do what John Boehner did. Hate marijuana for 16 years in the House and then go lobby for him when he leaves.
Yeah.
Making millions every year.
Mm-hmm.
Man, you tell me you don't think he would enjoy the crap out of that retirement?
Oh, yeah.
Heck. I mean, so...
do the talk show circuit
yeah.
and write some lousy book.
He can go do the Michael Steele thing. Go be the Republican on MSNBC and let him just yell at you all the time.
Yeah.
It pays really well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just don't think... If this gets passed, I'll be shocked. But if it gets passed, I'll be like, okay, you dropped a breadcrumb for the people. And that's not all people. Some people are going to hate it. They want that full ban.
Yeah.
And it's not just women who are pro-choice. There are women that are pro-life.
Oh, yeah, there's plenty of them.
Like, hardcore.
Yeah.
So this, I don't know if you just say this is a man and woman issue, or in between for all the people out there in between, whatever that means. I don't know. I guess at this point I'm kind of at a loss for words. I guess my thing is just take the W. You're being handed a win.
Yeah.
It's just not the win you wanted.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the home run. You're hitting double.
Yeah.
Hit the double and hope that next time someone hits a double and you score the run.
Yeah.
You still get a run either way.
A walk-off RBI single is still a win.
Right.
So it doesn't have to be a grand slam.
Because if you don't take this, you're not even hitting the ball to the warning track.
Yeah.
Anytime soon.
Yeah, because if you don't take this win now, that nasty closer that throws gas, who's gonna go 3 up, 3 down, and 8 pitches is coming out.
Yeah.
So which one do you want?
Yeah, I just hope they're not banking. Democrats aren't banking on this to mitigate losses in November by not taking the deal.
Yeah.
Because I don't think it's going to help. I mean, even in the best of times, the minority party gains seats.
Oh, yeah.
But, well, let us know what you think about this comment. I'm sure any comments will get charged up. Luckily, on the podcast platforms, nobody can comment on anything, so that's great. Nobody can say anything. But you can leave a comment on YouTube or Rumble if you feel so inclined. Please like, subscribe, comment, share, and go to the Driveway Bears podcast.com. Click on that private internet access link and get yourself a VPN. Holidays are coming up. They are coming up. Protect your credit card information. Please, I'm begging you to do it. I use private internet access. I use it myself. We do earn a commission. So obviously I'm asking you to click on the link. But it is actually something I use. So I wouldn't recommend it if I didn't. The cost is one of the best costing VPNs out there. I've used this thing for over 5 years. It has never let me down. So go ahead, get yourself a private internet access subscription. privateinternetaccess.com/drivewaybeers. And we'll talk to you next time.